Hey everybody, welcome to the dronecav and happy Halloween. Isn't this wonderful? In this October, isn't this the greatest month of the year? And this is the greatest week. This is our I guess you could call it our Halloween episode. I'm all dressed up. I hope you're all dressed up, getting ready for a big Halloween weekend. Anyway, just love it. But anyway, bonus points if anybody can guess who I am. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I for Halloween? Well, I'll tell you not who I am, but what I am. I am hot. It is scorching hot here in Florida, as usual. So we go back to normal mode. Anyway, I missed you guys last week. Did you miss me? So, I would be probably sad if you didn't. But anyway, I was hard at work, finding new stuff for you guys and girls to just ramp it up. I mean, we talk about drones all the time and flying and cameras and all this kind of stuff. But the dronecav is growing, it's evolving, it's expanding, it's going in different directions. And when you're flying a drone, you're doing two things. You hear me say this all the time. You're flying an aircraft, you're working a camera. And by camera, I mean a small camera. Small sensor, small camera, big capabilities though. Technology gets better all the time. You hear me say this all the time, but it's true. Technology is getting better. It's getting really good, and it's coming down in size. It's coming down in price. It's getting affordable. It's putting things in your hands. But a lot of people still, you're looking at drones that are, $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. All right, so maybe you're not really at the point of doing drone photography now, but you're still needing a good budget system to get out and start shooting some stuff. Well, black magics are great. Reds are great. I mean, it just keeps going up and up in quality, but it also goes up in price. If that has been a stopping point for you, if you have got your story, if you have got your stuff ready to roll, but you're thinking, I can't afford a good camera, I can't afford, an expensive rig to get going with. That's what we're here for, to eliminate those excuses, to get you out there and get you shooting. Today, after you watch this, you can go out and start shooting your movie today and get pretty good results. So we're going to be talking about some things. This is the first part of a multi-part bunch of episodes. I don't know how many there will be. There might be 3. There might be 5. It's going to grow and evolve as we go along, because I am finding, working with, experimenting, digging deeper than I normally do into things that are coming out as fast as I can keep up with it. And I want to funnel all this information to you so you can get out there, you can start putting your stuff together right now, getting it online, even if it's, if just you shooting by yourself, being socially distanced and safe and all that. Go shoot something today, a 3-minute, a 5-minute project, and get it on YouTube, get it on Vimeo, get it out there somewhere, just get practicing with it. So anyway, the excuses are gone. That ends today. You can start shooting now for just a few bucks. I'm going to show you how to get some really cool stuff. But basically today, I'm just going to introduce you to things we're going to be covering in, say, individual episodes upcoming, because there is so much to learn. But it's not that tough. It's not beyond your grasp. It's not going to blow your mind like this show is going to blow your mind and these shows, because it takes a lot to impress me. I've been around tech for 1,000,000,000,000 years. Yeah, that's a number. That's a real number, Lance. Neato, right? So anyway, gotta have a little fun with my buddy. So anyway, let's jump into a few things. Anyway, and there's so much stuff, I had to take notes. When it's more than can fit in this, coconut, right? All right. First of all, a little news. It's the dronecav. Let's talk about drones for a minute. All right. I love and adore my Mavic Mini. Same with my Mavic Air 2. Dig it. I love it. But this guy is so small, so light. You've heard me talk about it before. I'll beat the dead horse. It's little. It's not super expensive. It does a fantastic job. It's reliable. It's good quality. The image quality coming out of it is unbelievable. One Achilles heel that, it's really not, maybe that's kind of an overstatement. It's not that much of a detriment, is that the camera maxes out at 2.7K. Now again, if you're doing stuff for online, that's plenty. That's more than plenty. It'll also shoot in 1080, of course. But if you want higher quality, and 4K is getting to be, the standard. I mean, we know that. Well, it's time for an update. Believe it or not, this is the 1-year anniversary. October 30th, last year, the Mini was released. So we're just about to that date. So what's going on? Well, there's been some buzz going around online, so I'm not going to say this is 100% accurate, 100% for sure, but through some sources that I've got and things that I have read into and put 2 and 2 together and all these things, it looks like we've got an update coming out pretty soon. And by pretty soon, I mean really soon. So stay tuned for that. And so what's in this update? Well, isn't that always the big question? You just want to know what's going to be here for you. Okay, the Mavic Mini 2, about the same form factor from what I understand. Still 249 grams, super light. Looks pretty much the same, no big changes there, but some significant technical changes. The first one, are you sitting down? Are you ready? Are you braced? Can you handle this? 4K. 4K. Now, from what I understand, it maxes out at 30 frames, which is, fine. It'll still shoot 24, 25, 30 frames. And so that'll be really cool. Now, remember, there was a firmware update earlier this year that added more control to the camera settings, like exposure controls and things like that. Of course, you can get ND filters for these. So that is going to make a pretty nice little pocket powerhouse, relatively inexpensive drone, all the more powerful with 4K. All right, what's another thing? Well, there is the communication link between your drone and controller. It's basically it's a form of Wi-Fi. This guy has what DJI calls enhanced Wi-Fi, so it was good for 1.5 kilometers, which is plenty distance, because remember, legally you only fly within visual line of sight. You're not going to put a little tiny speck like this miles away. It's just silly, and it's just such a compromise in safety and quality. And unless you're really, really experienced, you may or may not get this thing back. So just get that billion-mile range thing out of your head. It's not a good idea, but it is an indicator of the transmission strength between the link between the controller and the drone, the aircraft itself. The Mavic Mini 2, reportedly, according to the leaks and has OcuSync 2.0. Well, that's the same as in the Mavic Air 2. Gives you, remember, 1.5 kilometers. OcuSync 2 gives you 10 kilometers of range. All right. No way will I ever advocate flying this guy 10K out. But that does mean it's going to have a more robust signal, a more robust connection between the two. So that's really awesome. Sorry, I got to refer to my notes. Yeah. But that is great. Now, if you remember a few episodes back, I showed you a little clip for a film. I just recently shot some segments of a boat coming down a river and a Black Hawk helicopter chasing it down the river. You may recall I mentioned that was a tricky shot to get because I had a lot of wind at about 30 feet of altitude, 20, 30 feet. I was starting to pick up wind. It was really pushing this guy around. And you got to think about the physics of flight. Just because you put a drone in the air, you can't just switch that part of your brain off and start thinking about camera settings. You have to do two things at once. You have to fly an aircraft, you have to be a camera operator. You do those simultaneously. So if you have a low mass object, like a 249 gram drone, that's not a whole lot to fight the wind. So the wind was pushing this guy around. So I was flying over water, over a river, lined by trees, heavy trees on both sides, but on the side I was flying on, the wind was pushing the drone back toward me. So I had to constantly fly the drone into the wind just to keep it in one spot. Now think about that for a minute, because it sounds kind of silly. Yeah, I had maybe a 7 to 10 mile an hour wind pushing the drone this way. Well, that means I had to fly into the wind at about 7 to 10 miles an hour to keep it in one place. So you have to counter that. You have to fight that wind push to keep your camera in the same place. Now remember, this is a platform to put the camera in the sky or in an area that you couldn't normally get a camera easily. That's what the drone does. It's you kind of have to shift gears here a little bit and think about, yeah, it's an aircraft, but it's also a platform. It's a thing to hold your camera in a place and move it in ways that you can't easily do. So if you have wind up there pushing you around, it's going to be a big bully, right? Well, the Mavic Mini 2 has apparently stronger motors, and they are reporting it's rated at a higher wind management resistance level, a level 5 wind. That will be a huge plus for you. It's one of those things people get all excited about 4K, and that's cool. Get all excited about OcuSync 2.0. Really cool. But you know what? When you put this thing in the air and you don't have to worry about the wind blowing it into trees or blowing it around or blowing it out of the shot and messing up your shot, that's the under the hood stuff that's really important. So to me, there's 3 big things. Now, as far as price, again, there's nothing been confirmed. If there's any change to price, I would expect there to be a little bit of change to price. Just because of the technology. Oh, the other cool thing is it looks like it comes with the new style controller that comes with the Mavic Air 2. I don't have mine right here, but it's a bit bigger controller. It's easier to hold on to, and your phone or your screen mounts above the controller rather than down below. So it's much, much more ergonomic and fits your hand and works so much better. All right. So that's enough of the Mavic Mini news. So, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about today? Talking about putting filmmaking in your hands, nice, easy, low budget, and quick. Okay, so you've heard me go on and on about my djiosmopocket, right? Small camera, not really expensive, and you know I just gush over this thing. I just love it. It's so small. Let's pop it out of the rod there. I mean, you can see how small it is. This is a Wi-Fi base. It's a transmitter that creates a Wi-Fi network to connect to your phone or your other device. You can see how small. I mean, it's just got a little tiny screen, some control buttons. This was recently updated to the Pocket 2, and it didn't change in appearance a whole lot. I believe the new ones are a little thicker. They did add some nice updates to it. It does have a few more bells and whistles. To me, one of the biggest things was the microphones. This has a mic on the bottom, one on the top, and they honestly weren't the best. You can get an adapter to plug into the bottom to plug a better mic into, which is cool. But one thing that kind of sucked is if you were using the Wi-Fi adapter, you plugged it in, well, guess what? There goes your plug for your mic. But even though the Wi-Fi adapter has a plug, same USB-C plug on the back, you would kind of think, you could plug the adapter into that, right? No. DJI, in their infinite wisdom, for some reason, did not set it up that way. The adapter for a microphone has to be plugged in directly to the bottom of the device. Well, now remember, I don't know if you can see it, little tiny hole there. That's one of your microphones. Well, what happens when you plug your Wi-Fi in? You block one of the microphones. All right, so now you're down, if you're using the Wi-Fi device, you're down to one microphone. And you can't plug in an external. Now, this is the extension rod that you can get. It's an accessory. And the pocket slips into it. This is, in my opinion, almost a must-have. I mean, it's so cool. You can, it's obviously an extension rod. It comes out for a distance. It's got a holder here for your phone, and it has controls here to power, change camera settings, a joystick to adjust the gimbal. It's all cool stuff. I've got a little tripod base on it, so it's really cool. But again, to use the extension rod, you have to use the Wi-Fi module if you want to use your phone with it. So again, it's kind of one of those things. So the Pocket 2 has better mics, has some better videography built in. The camera is improved a bit. Again, a nice update. The price went up a little bit. I think it went up $50 or something. Anyway, if you have a Pocket 1, I'm just not like super excited about to jump into a Pocket 2. And it gives you a few features. If you have to have the latest, greatest, by all means, go get one. But if you're doing fine with your Pocket 1, I'm saying hold off. It's not one of those got to have it today things. But so that's talking about getting you a new camera, right? And a setup like this, for example, the Pocket, they were like $349. I think you're going to find them now for $299 most places. They came down a little since the new one came out. The extension rod's like $70. The Wi-Fi thing's another $70. You know, if you get some ND filters and stuff, you're going to be around $500. So, you know, that kind of gives you an idea. But say that's just still a little out of reach. I mean, you're just not wanting to spend this money to get your project off the ground. Maybe you don't have the budget. Maybe you don't want to spend it. And right now, with the way things are, finances are unpredictable for a lot of folks and all that. You know, what are the alternatives? I'll bet you got one of these. Maybe not necessarily an iPhone, but I bet you've got a smartphone, and I'll bet it's got a pretty decent camera. And I'll bet you have underestimated what this can do. Hey, you ever think about it? You're walking around with this really cool camera in your pocket already. Now, this is an iPhone XR. I've had it about a year. Love it. Don't really have a pressing need to upgrade, even though the iPhone 12s are about to come out. There's a lot of good Android phones out there too. So the thing to kind of consider is the specs of your camera. Now, what can this do compared to this? Shoots 4K 60. Shoots 4K 60. Has photos. Shoots fantastic photos. Now, there are some other features built in here, like the active tracking, like hyperlapse, some things like that, the gimbal stabilization that this does not have. All right, so which one's the winner? More features, better quality, right? Basically the same camera, but more features. And you have this with you all the time, though. It's always in my pocket. Always goes everywhere. I'll bet it's the same with you. I'll bet you don't leave the house without your phone. I'll bet if you walk out in the driveway, get in your car, the first thing you're going to check for is, do I have my phone? Did I bring my phone? What am I going to do? I'd be lost if I didn't have my phone. So you've got your camera with you all the time. So how could you get the features of this to work with this? All right, stop and think about those features. The active track. Now, the gimbal's a mechanical thing, but you've got like the special effects settings and things like that. How could you get those merged into this? Brace yourself. Brace yourself. And I'm telling you, get ready, because you are going to jump right online and order this. If not today, after you see some of the next episodes. Tension. Building suspense. Got to get it ready for you. All right. What the heck is that? What is that? What could it be? What is this thing? This magical half pistol looking thing. This is an Osmo. This is an actual DJI Osmo. Osmopocket was the little cousin brother that came along. This is the Osmo 4. This just came out. All right. The Osmos have been around a while. I've had an Osmo 2, and they have advanced, and of course, like everything else, they get better, add a few features. They really went to work with this dude. All right, let's talk about a few things that it does differently, some of the new stuff. Well, big thing is it's much smaller. This can almost fit in your pocket. I mean, it looks kind of big because I'm like holding it up to the camera close, so it looks giant. It's really not that big. It fits in a small camera bag. which I have like a little small hip. It's not a fanny pack. I don't have a fanny pack. It's like a little small hip camera bag. So it fits in that. It'll fit in a fanny pack. Nothing wrong with a fanny pack. But the other Osmos used to be a little fiddly to set up because it had a kind of a big mount. You'd mount your phone in it. You'd have to balance it and go through some of these gyrations to get it set up to use. That's all gone with this. This guy comes with a nice little felt carry bag. There's not a whole lot to mess around with here, and they keep it that way. Check it out. How about that? What this dude does is clips right on to your phone. It's that easy. What that took, did anybody time it? Took like a second, right? Now, pow. Super duper neato strong magnet. Then what do? You raise it up. Power it on. And we are in business. You can change your orientation from portrait to landscape. You can do all kinds of stuff. Now, I am just kind of tilting it around here so you can see how this guy works. Now again, this is a little introduction. I'm just showing you this thing. It even comes with this fancy little handle that screws right onto the bottom. To give you a little extended reach if you need it. Or pops out to make a little tripod. Pretty thoughtful, right? You can also spin that off, and it has a standard 1/4-20 threaded socket there, so you can mount it on a tripod. You can mount other accessories to it, like a cold shoe adapter if you want to add extra mics or whatever to it, because guess what? You don't have a Wi-Fi module to mess with your phone. So that really makes it cool. Now, I don't know if you can see how well you can see on the front. You have a joystick control, you have a power button and a shutter or a record start stop button. So with the joystick, of course, I'm just moving the camera around. Now, notice I say camera, even though it's a phone. These devices really are pocket computers. All right, we just have to accept that. They're a pocket computer. They happen to have a cell phone radio, a cellular radio, and a phone app. Other than that, they're a pocket computer. Think about all the apps you use, all the software that runs on these things. That'll kind of start putting it in focus. Oh, focus. How about a little pun there? So, you're thinking, you can't shoot anything on a phone. Who would do that? That's crazy talk. That ain't gonna work. Well, guess what? Not quite. There have been a few, people that know a little bit about the business jump into this. And it is so cool to see this level of creativity come to the forefront and get publicity. So if you don't believe me, jump on Google, just put in movies shot on iPhone. Now again, I'm talking iPhone because that's what I've got, that's what I use, but this stuff applies to the appropriate Android models that have the capability to run certain software and things like that. There's a really cool movie I liked called Unsane by Steven Soderbergh. You might have heard of this guy. He won an Academy Award for Traffic. He's done a bunch of movies, and he's been around a little bit. He shot Unsane, the whole thing, on an iPhone, on I think he used a 7. All right, because it's a couple years old. It's a 2 or 3 year old movie. I think it came out in 2017. Yeah, so, stop and think about that for a second. Another guy, Zack Snyder, this Justice League thing. Yeah, well, he did this thing called Snow Steam Iron. I think it's on YouTube. Check it out. A little iPhone deal. Tangerine was at Sundance. A guy named Sean Baker shot Tangerine on iPhone 5S, an iPhone 5S. We're talking about the iPhone 12 coming out right now. So just imagine what you could do with a 5. All right, this guy was able to shoot this film, the Sundance entry. Guy, Claude Lelouch, I just looked this up. He's another Academy Award winner for a film called, I don't know if he won the Academy for this, but he shot this film on an iPhone called The Best Years of a Life. So there's just a few examples. I looked around, did a little research to see who was using this and how they were using it. And again, mind blown. The creativity of these filmmakers that have everything at their disposal. They have budgets, crazy budgets. They have everything right there. But you know what they wanted to do? They wanted to push the limits of technology. They wanted to use their creativity to get out there to do these things. It's so cool. And one thing I did find in common, they were using, a lot of them were using a different rig. They weren't using an Osmo like this. They were using a thing called a Beast Grip. Beast Grip is a really cool company. They make cages, basically, that your phone fits in. And you can also rig up stabilizers and things with the Beast Grip cage. Now, the Beast Grip cages get a little more into the cinematic realm, and that they have, it's like this big aluminum cage thing, and if you go to beastgrip.com, you can see what they have. They're not real expensive. They're usually around 150, 160 bucks. But the cage has parts designed into it where you can add lenses. You can add anamorphic lenses, ND filters, wide angle lenses, all this to the front of your phone camera. So it builds that camera rig out of your phone. It uses everything you have right there. Super, super cool. But the other thing to think about, if we shift gears a little bit back to the software. All right, they're not using they just don't hit the camera button on the phone and take off with it. If you haven't explored some of the photography applications and apps available, man, do yourself a favor. But the one thing that all these filmmakers used, the one app that they used is called Filmic Pro. Absolutely, I'm going to use this word to death because I just want to drive it home. I just want to beat it home. Mind-blowing. It's a $15 app. It lets you make tons and tons and tons of settings, focus changes, takes you to a pro level. It really unlocks your camera. The hardware of your camera is not the same as the software that runs it. You have a really cool piece of hardware, but if you have a piece of software that just takes the reins off and lets it run and fly, man, then you're cooking. So, with Filmic Pro and an iPhone or even a tablet that has a really good camera, works really well for iOS and Android, okay? Now, again, 15 bucks for Filmic Pro for the app. But you can unlock even more features with an upgrade they have called the Cinematographer's Kit. It's another 14 bucks. It's $13.99. So again, we're under $30 for the app and the upgrade. What does the Cinematographer's Kit do? The big thing is it lets you shoot in log. So it has some really cool profiles. It has a natural profile. It has a flat profile. It has a log profile. It lets you make more RGB settings. It's amazing. And then they have another component. I haven't tried this out yet. That is called the Filmic Remote. So say you set your phone up on a tripod to do a shot over here, or you're going to do a time lapse or something like that, but you can't keep running back and forth to it. This remote lets you control that device from a second connected device. So you could have your phone set up over here on the tripod doing the shot, but you're over there with your iPad managing the shot. So, man, how cool is that? It's just amazing stuff. So now, what do you think about this video? You ever stop to think what I use when I do the dronecav? Most of the time, I'm shooting with this dude. But wait, I'm not shooting with it now, am I? Nope. This has all been shot in fully automatic settings with an iPad Mini 5 using Filmic Pro. How's it look? Anyway, that's an introduction. As you can tell, I'm really excited about this. I probably rambled on a lot longer than normal. Dr. Pepper is getting warm out here in the sun. But hey, this is cool stuff. So these next episodes, I'm going to knock your socks off. Okay, everybody, we're going to wrap up with a few photos and quick videos that I shot. I went out to Universal Studios this past weekend to play around with the OM4. And I just want you to know, I just used the standard DJI Mimo app for this. Did not use Filmic Pro, did not do any editing. This is just the way it comes. So I just want to show you some raw footage with basic stuff, and just wait till you see what's coming. As always, you can always get in touch with me, Terry at blackdogdroneops.com. I'm also a mentor on the Indie Brigade, romeropictures.com/mentors. Book a session. Let's talk about your drones. Let's talk about your cameras. Let's talk about your handheld gimbals and get things rolling.